So it's been an interesting weekend for PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 owners because, well, PSN was down, and it was down for quite a while. And I feel like there are more questions than answers when it comes to what has happened with this. Of course, this happened initially on Friday evening around 7 p.m. Eastern time. We were actually live on the Spawncast, and a lot of people came in reporting that PSN was down. Now, during that time frame, we figured, oh, okay, it'll probably just be down for a little while. You know, these things do happen. There are outages and things of that nature that happen with these online servers, but it didn't seem to be coming up anytime soon. And Friday night came and went, and PSN was still down. Saturday morning, gamers woke up to play some video games, and well, you're not playing them on the PS5 because PSN was still down. It was down as of Saturday afternoon. It did not come up until Saturday evening, and even then, there were still some features that were not functioning properly with PSN. It seems like there is a slow integration of these things coming back up to speed. So, nearly 24 hours after going down, people finally got to be able to play their PlayStation 5s the way they wanted to. Now, it's easy to say things like, oh, well, you know, you could still play your physical games and your single player games, but that wasn't necessarily the case with some games because some games require an online check-in, a DRM essentially, something that we've talked about before on this channel, but it's really something that only seems to creep into PC gaming until something happens with console gaming to the point of where people get upset about it. Gran Turismo 7 has a multiplayer component, but at its core, Gran Turismo has, at least always for me, been about the single player experience, you know, trying to best your lap times, trying to, you know, unlock different cars and things of that nature. But Gran Turismo 7 does require an online connection in order just to play the single player game. So any game that you own, whether it's physical, whether it's digital, that requires an online connection, it was not going to work during this time frame. And 24 hours, you know, that's kind of a long time. And I think if Sony came out and just explained what had happened and been like, hey, you know, this is what happened, sorry about that, then people would be a little bit more kind towards this situation. But really, that's the big problem for me. Like, I own a PlayStation 5, but as you guys are well aware, if you're longtime viewers of the channel, I really just play PlayStation exclusives on my PlayStation 5. And I'm not really a big Helldivers fan, so all of the PlayStation exclusive games that I've wanted to play, I have already played on my PlayStation 5, and I'm just waiting for the next thing to come about. So while this didn't impact me necessarily, it did impact a lot of people, and a lot of people want answers to this. Not being able to play select games and access basic things that you are paying good money for nearly 24 hours should raise some questions. And Sony's had situations like this before. If you remember back in 2011, PSN was down for almost a full month. And when it came back up, they explained kind of what happened. Spoiler alert, they got hacked. Your information got leaked to data breachers and stuff like that. But they gave you a bunch of free games. With this situation, Sony just kind of came out and said, oh, hey, it's back up. Thanks, bye. And it's like, okay, well, what happened? Why did this happen? What occurred? What caused this situation to happen? And the silence of this situation, to me, should be the most concerning thing about this, because your information may have gotten accessed by something. Was this a DDoS attack that just took a while to clear up? Or was this a situation that a hacker or a group of hackers hacked into PSN and took the server down? This is something that does happen from time to time with companies, and that's why a lot of people, myself included, try to let people know, like, hey, if you have a credit card attached to your PSN account or your Xbox account or your Nintendo Switch that you just quickly access, that's probably not the best thing in the world, because that data can be accessed in a situation like this. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that this was a massive hack attack or anything like that, but I am saying, why is Sony being so quiet about this? You know, this is something that you need to be very transparent with. This is something that you need to be very upfront with your consumer base about as to what happened, why it happened, and if your consumers are going to be impacted by this, if they need to check some things, if they need to make sure that their data isn't getting out there. And the silence of this really makes me raise some eyebrows, because I feel like if this was a simple thing, if there was a simple, logical, reasonable explanation for as to why this happened, that Sony would just come out and say it. But the fact that they're not saying anything is very telling in this situation. And really, it should make you hate the all digital future, because of the fact that when companies don't have to worry about physical games, they're always going to make you check your online presence at the door. They're going to make sure that your system is connected to the servers when you are playing these games. Now, it's not a big deal because of the fact that you play your PlayStation 5 at home. So it makes sense. It's a home console. You probably have internet connected. But what if there's a situation like this? What if there's a internet outage or something like that, and your PlayStation 5 turns into just essentially a box that's just sitting there? I guess maybe you could watch a movie on it or something like that. But more so for the future of gaming, when these online servers go down, not only will you not be able to download or purchase the game like we have seen time and time again, there's a chance you might not be able to play the game. Now, the hope is that with something like Gran Turismo 7 is that when Polyphony is done with that game, that they will make the game offline compatible. They have done things like that with Gran Turismo Sport, so that's kind of the hopeful mentality with this. But if it's easy to do, why not just do it at the start? Why have so much control over your consumers always being online for an experience that doesn't necessarily require it? And when these video game companies get rid of the middleman, the physical games, and it's just all purchases through a digital storefront, they're going to have so much control over this situation, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's no way to kind of stop this. I know, Ross from Ross's Game Dungeon is trying to, stop the killing of digital games and stuff like that. And I completely agree with his mentality, because it's a wrong practice. And it's a situation where it's one of those things where nobody seems to care about it until it actually impacts them, until something happens to them that impacts their gaming experience, and then they have a problem with it. Then it's a concern, when in reality, it should always be a concern. My Dreamcast will always play Dreamcast games. I don't have to worry about an online connection or something like that. Is your PlayStation 5 still going to work the same in a decade from now if Sony decides to take down the servers? Well, to be fair, I mean, I think they're going to let this generation run wild for quite a while. But you see what I'm getting at? Like, this is why people have a problem with online DRM stuff. It's not helping the situation in any way, shape, or form. It's not doing anything to prevent piracy or something like that, like these companies think. It's actually harming the games in the long run, because you're essentially going to have a graveyard of dead games that people will never get to experience. And maybe the future of gaming is something like, people don't care about the classics. People don't care about the old stuff. But nostalgia is a hell of a drug. There's a reason why some people like classic things, and that's because of the fact that that's maybe what they grew up on. Imagine a world where you can't experience anything that you grew up on. It was always moving towards the next thing, the next goalpost, the next big thing. And you can never take time to sit back and kind of look at the past and look how you got to this point in time. I know I'm getting off topic with this, but to bring it all back full circle, what the hell happened here, Sony? What's going on? Why were you down for 24 hours? What caused this? What steps are you taking to make sure that this doesn't happen in the future? You're obviously not going to give an apology to gamers, a thank you gift for dealing with us, for having to deal with the fact that some people, that's when they play video games, is on the weekend. Monster Hunter Wilds 2 had its second beta going on. Helldivers 2 had an event going on, and people could not access this stuff. And what do? Nothing. You say nothing. You do nothing. You go about it. Business as usual. And hopefully by the time this video goes up on Sunday, everything is back working and functioning as it should be. Most things are up right now. I'm filming this late on Saturday night. But I want to know, in the comment section down below, what were your experiences with PSN being down? Did this impact you? What games could you play? What games couldn't you play? Did you have any trouble with your digital library as well? Because some people did have some issues with digital library, things like primary consoles, not and secondary consoles. Like if your PS5 Pro was your secondary console, there was issues with that of having to check online and stuff, thus making people not be able to play their games in any sort of capacity on that specific system. Let me know in the comments section down below. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Hit the bell as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.